So how did all this come together tonight? 6 months ago, if you would have said the name Jen Hope, I would have thought, sounds familiar? She gave a talk at a women's group that I belong to, and it was about her group, Mom of an Addict, Inc. And I was so moved by her words, her vulnerability, her courage to share her deepest, darkest struggles. They spoke to me. I wrote her a note. I didn't think she knew who I was, but I wanted her to know how much her words and her mission meant to me, to our community. And then she wrote back and she said, would you be willing to be vulnerable enough to introduce our event tonight? And I thought, oh man, I've done it. I thanked her and now I've put myself in this position. She's incredible. The way she's organized this event, wanting no praise whatsoever, the more you talk to her, the more you're going to want to know her. So Jen Hope organized Mom of an Addict, Inc. It's growing by leaps and bounds. But even more miraculous, here to talk with her tonight is her son, Jake. He's 27. He's a new dad, and he is in recovery. He's working with intake with a rehab facility called Jacob's Ladder that we're going to learn more about. And if you don't believe in miracles, well, I've got two that I want to introduce to you right now because they do come true. So here is Jen Hope and Jake Burgess.
Let me get on the right page here. Wow. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I look out, and I'm just overwhelmed. I'd like to thank Sweetwater for letting us use this outstanding venue today to hold Recovery Rocks. I'd like to thank their whole team, Alyssa, Drew, and everyone else involved with making today possible. It's a freaking awesome day to be here together, so thank you. I need to take a moment and thank our event sponsors, WBCL, Allen County Drug and Alcohol Consortium, New Beginnings, the Bowen Recovery Center, Fort Wayne Recovery, Allendale Treatment, the Chapel, the Rose Home, Farrington Specialty Centers, Inspiration Ministries. I love it. And the Isaiah Initiative 18. Today wouldn't have been possible without all of you, so thank you very much. I want to thank our amazing speakers today. I just can't thank them enough for taking their weekend to be here to spread hope. I want to thank the crew of volunteers who showed up early this morning and who are still here making sure that everything was set up and is flowing well. I'm not going to call you each by name, but know that you are appreciated and loved and you make my life better. I want to take a few minutes and address any family members or loved ones who might be here because addiction or substance use disorder affects the entire household and beyond. I'm not a professional. I'm not giving you professional advice. I'm just going to share my heart with you. First, I want to say I realize that some of you may have a child or family member who lost their life to this terrible disease, and my heart is with you. But I hope that what I say will offer you some sort of comfort in whatever shape or form that might be. I'm the mom to 3 amazing kiddos. I tried my best to check off those boxes of being the good parent by working from home, volunteering at school and church, baking cupcakes for sports teams, going to all the school plays, helping with homework, buying supplies for science fair projects, having regular family dinners, and do you know what? Despite my efforts, this horrible genetic disease called substance use disorder still reared its ugly head in my oldest child. I spent years wondering where I had gone wrong and what I could have done differently. I carried a lot of guilt. And maybe if you're here today, you can relate. So I'm the mom of an addict. I remember times listening to other parents talk about the colleges their kids were getting acceptance letters to, or what scholarships they were being offered. I would quietly sit as they talked about their sons and daughters getting great jobs or serving our country or getting a cool apartment, while in my head I was thinking, wow, is he alive? Has he eaten today? Will I get to visit him in jail this weekend? And maybe you feel like that today. I'm the mom of an addict, and I tried for several years to rescue my child. I tried to tell him what I thought he should do because I was certain that I knew what was best for him. I tried to love him enough to make him not want to drink or use drugs anymore. And along the way, I adopted a lot of unhealthy habits myself. I'm a slow learner, I'm not afraid to admit, but thankfully I realized a few things along the way. First, I realized his addiction was not the result of a parenting failure on my part, nor was it a moral failure on his part. Substance use disorder is a genetic, chronic illness. Second, I needed to change my conversations with him. He was an adult capable of making his own decisions, but I was pretty much sending him the message that I didn't think he could. Third, I had to learn where my line between loving was and where enabling was. Fourth, I came to understand that I can only control and change myself. And if anything I've said resonates with you, I want to let you know you are not alone. At the Mom of an Addict, we're here for you, so please make sure you talk with someone at our table before you leave. So back to what I've learned. The absolute hardest thing I had to learn was this: I alone couldn't save my child. He also had to want that for himself. If a mother's love was the cure, there would be no addiction, I promise you. What was going to happen to him, good or bad, was ultimately out of my control. I accepted that I could be an encourager without being a controller. I realized it was crucial for me to believe in my heart that God loves him more than I do, and that what I couldn't do, he could. I had to quit playing God and stop trying to manipulate outcomes and trying to force decisions upon my child. But the best thing I learned along the way was this: there is always hope. If your loved one still has a beat in his or her heart, there is hope. And for some, hope lies in heaven. For some, we have hope to find our own joy again, no matter what the circumstances are around us. I've also come to realize that usually what we find is what we're looking for. So I encourage you to look for hope each day. It's there. And now I'm going to hand this over to someone who I am incredibly proud of, someone whom I love very much, my son.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, cool. All right. I'm an addict named Jake. I see I have some friends. My clean date is May 7th of 2017. Prior to that, I pushed away family and friends, gave up countless opportunities, experienced homelessness, a 3-month bit in Huntington County Jail, 2 trips to rehab in Indy, 2 detoxes at PBH, and moved into halfway houses 8 different times, all before my 24th birthday. I believe that I was born an addict. The very first time I put a chemical in my body, everything changed. I no longer cared about what people thought of me. It was like I had found the secret of life. All I had to do was drink this liquid, and everything was perfect. Then when that wasn't enough, I had to smoke what I called just a plant. Next, snort some sort of powder or smoke something that wasn't a plant. Then shoot something into my veins, all in pursuit of making everything seem perfect. Unfortunately, that process wasn't sustainable. At least I couldn't find a way to make it work, and I haven't met anybody else who has. Eventually, I would come down and be left to deal with the wreckage that I had created on my own. During my active addiction, I did whatever I could to escape, regardless of the consequences. I did drugs I said I would never do in ways that I said I would never do them. It was easier to change my perception of reality than to do something to actually change it. I felt so alone, and that nobody cared, and that I was destined to die from my disease. Those were lies. Lies that addiction whispered to me in my own voice. The truth was and is, I was never alone. At every step of the way, someone was there for me. I just didn't realize it. There was always someone who cared. Addiction did not have to take my life. All I had to do was become willing to accept the help that was right in front of me. There's some names that I've forgotten along the way, and some that I remember very well. They all led me on my path to recovery. My mom played a big role with her healthy boundaries, communication, and support. She guided me to make the right decision. The person at the meeting with more clean time than me, they showed me that recovery was possible. A bunkie in a halfway house named Ryan, who reminded me that I could still laugh without drugs. The counselor at a facility who revealed things about myself that I was blind to. An intake coordinator named Joey, who heard my desperate cry for help and went to great lengths to get me into treatment. And selfless donors to an assistance fund whose money provided me a scholarship to Jacob's Ladder. What I'm getting at is that I didn't do this by myself. Many interactions, big and small, built a foundation for my recovery. I'm so grateful for the people that were there for me even when I wasn't ready to change. Your actions were not in vain. They're all part of my recovery today. My life today is so different than it was in active addiction. If someone would have told me on that sad Sunday morning, May 7th of 17, what things would look like in a little over 3 years, I would have cried with joy. I have an amazing supportive girlfriend and a healthy, almost 2-month-old daughter. I'm an active member of my family. I have true friends that help me stay clean. I have a great job helping still struggling addicts with Jacob's Ladder. If everything goes as planned, I'll be graduating with my bachelor's from WVU this upcoming spring. And hopefully getting into law school next fall. If you're a family member, a mental health worker, an ally, or a person, hold on, I jumped over. So tonight, to everyone who's helped me along the way, thank you. Thank you for never giving up. Thank you for being there when I needed help. Thank you for being there to celebrate with me as I've grown in my recovery. If you're a family member, a mental health worker, an ally, or a person in recovery, I want to thank you too. Thank you in advance for your actions and persistence that might help to save and change someone just like me.